I gave my granddaughter a necklace that belonged to my late wife for her birthday, a family heirloom filled with the love of generations. But she refused to accept it, calling it cheap junk in front of her friends and crushing my heart. I'm an old grandfather full of warm memories. She is a modern girl blinded by the glamour of the new. You won't believe what she did when she found out the real value of the necklace. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. Happy birthday, sweetheart! I reached into my jacket's inner pocket, fingers closing around the familiar velvet box that had waited 5 years for this moment. Lucy sat surrounded by her college friends in Dennis's living room, wrapping papers scattered at her feet like fallen leaves. The warm glow from the overhead lights caught her auburn hair, so much like Eleanor's at that age. She turned toward me with expectant eyes, hands already reaching out. "From Grandpa? This better be good," she laughed, and her friends giggled behind their wine glasses. I placed the vintage box in her palms, watching her face. "This belonged to your great-great-grandmother, then your great-grandmother, then—" "Oh!" Lucy's expression shifted as she snapped open the lid. The antique necklace lay against faded silk, platinum setting 3 rubies surrounded by diamonds, crafted in 1923, a masterpiece of another era. She glanced at it for maybe 3 seconds, maybe less. The box clicked shut. "Grandpa, this looks like cheap junk from a flea market." She pushed it back toward me across the coffee table. "I mean, seriously? This old thing?" My hands remained frozen in midair. The rejected box sat between us like a small coffin. "Lucy, that's a family heirloom," Dennis said quietly from his position near the fireplace. His wife Sarah shifted uncomfortably on the couch, her teacher's instincts recognizing the gravity of the moment. "Stop defending it, Dad. And you too, Grandpa." Lucy's voice carried a sharp edge I'd never heard before. Her friends whispered among themselves, clearly amused by the old-fashioned gift. "Come back when you have a real present, like jewelry from this century." The room fell silent except for the distant hum of the dishwasher. I stared at the box, Eleanor's final wish crumbling like autumn leaves in my chest. 5 years of careful planning. 5 years of waiting for Lucy's 21st birthday. My voice caught. The weight of 3 generations pressed down on my shoulders. Lucy had already turned back to her friends, dismissing me with practiced ease. "Sorry, girls. Old people don't understand modern style." I picked up the box. My fingers trembled slightly as I slipped it back into my jacket pocket, the velvet warm against my palm. The living room buzzed with renewed conversation, but I heard none of it. Dennis caught my eye, his face creased with concern. "Dad, it's fine." The words came out steadier than I felt. "Enjoy the rest of your party, Lucy." I moved toward the front door, each step deliberate and measured. Behind me, laughter erupted over someone else's gift, probably something modern and expensive, something worthy of a 21st century girl. The cool April air hit my face as I stepped outside. My car waited in the driveway, reliable and patient like an old friend. I sat behind the wheel for several minutes, the engine running, warm air flowing from the vents, the jewelry box pressed against my ribs through my jacket. Eleanor's voice echoed in my memory. "Promise me, Solon," when she's ready to understand what family means. Perhaps Lucy simply wasn't ready yet. The drive home passed in a blur of streetlights and familiar turns. My suburban neighborhood lay quiet at 9:30, porch lights glowing like distant stars. I pulled into my driveway and sat for a moment, listening to the engine tick as it cooled. Inside, silence greeted me, a stark contrast to the party chatter I'd left behind. I hung my jacket carefully in the front closet, but kept the velvet box in my hand. Its weight seemed heavier now, dense with disappointment. My living room welcomed me with its warm familiarity. Eleanor's portrait gazed down from above the mantelpiece, her smile forever captured in oils and love. I settled into my leather armchair, the one she'd bought me for our 30th anniversary, and placed the box on the coffee table. "Well, Eleanor," I said to her painted eyes, "our granddaughter wasn't quite ready for your surprise." The box looked smaller on the table's polished surface. I opened it slowly, reverently. The necklace caught the lamplight, rubies gleaming like drops of crystallized wine. Each diamond sparked with captured fire. the platinum setting smooth as silk beneath my fingertips. I'd forgotten how beautiful it truly was. My coffee table's drawer slid open with a familiar whisper. Inside lay neat stacks of documents, insurance papers, bank statements, Eleanor's final letters. I found what I was looking for, the jewelry appraisal from 2020, $120,000. The number stared back at me from official letterhead. The appraiser had called it a remarkable example of 1920s craftsmanship and museum quality. Beneath the appraisal lay Eleanor's handwritten note, penned during her final weeks. Her careful script filled the cream-colored paper. My dearest Solon, if you're reading this, our Lucy has reached 21. Please give her great-great-grandmother's necklace only if she shows proper respect for family traditions. If she's become too modern, too ungrateful, wait. Wait until she understands that some treasures can't be bought in stores, only earned through generations of love. I traced Eleanor's words with my finger. She'd known. Somehow she'd anticipated this exact moment. The necklace lay in its box, like a sleeping jewel, 3 rubies representing 3 generations of women who'd worn it with pride. Great-great-grandmother Margaret at her 1923 wedding. Great-grandmother Rose at society functions throughout the Depression. Eleanor at our own wedding in 1978. Each woman had understood its significance beyond mere monetary value. I lifted the necklace carefully, feeling its substantial weight. The chain flowed like liquid silver between my fingers. This wasn't costume jewelry from a discount store. This was craftsmanship from an era when artisans took pride in permanence. She called it flea market junk, I whispered to Eleanor's portrait. Your great-great-grandmother's wedding necklace. The disappointment sat heavy in my chest, but underneath it, something else grew. Protection. This necklace represented 4 generations of love, sacrifice, and family honor. Lucy might be blood, but blood alone didn't make someone worthy of such a legacy. Eleanor's letter rustled as I folded it carefully. Wait until she understands, she'd written. Perhaps that day would come. Perhaps Lucy would mature, would learn to value substance over surface, history over trends. Until then, I had a promise to keep, not just to give the necklace, but to give it only when Lucy proved worthy of the women who'd worn it before her. I rose from my chair, box cradled in my palms like a small prayer. Upstairs, my bedroom safe waited. The necklace would rest there, protected and patient until Lucy grew into the woman Eleanor believed she could become. Morning light filtered through my bedroom curtains, but sleep had evaded me. The safe's digital lock glowed green after I entered the combination, Eleanor's birthday, then mine. The velvet box nestled inside among other precious documents, secure and waiting. Downstairs, coffee brewing, I moved through my morning routine with mechanical precision, but my mind remained fixed on last night's painful scene. In the living room, photo albums lined the bottom shelf of our bookcase. I pulled out the one marked 1978 and settled into my chair. There was Eleanor on our wedding day, the necklace gracing her throat like captured starlight. Her grandmother, Rose, had insisted she wear it. Something old, she'd said with tears in her eyes. Eleanor had been 24 then, younger than Lucy was now, but already possessing a gravity that my granddaughter seemed to lack. I turned pages slowly, watching our life unfold in faded colors. Eleanor in the garden, Eleanor teaching Sunday school, Eleanor holding infant Dennis. In every photo, she radiated the kind of substance that couldn't be bought or taught, only lived. By afternoon, loneliness pressed against my ribs like an old ache. I called Mike Henderson, my friend since teaching days, while puttering in the kitchen. "Solon, how'd the birthday party go?" Mike's voice crackled through the phone speaker. Not quite as expected. I pulled leftover soup from the refrigerator, grateful for simple tasks. Kids today, they're different from our generation. Different how? I hesitated, loyalty to Lucy warring with need for perspective. Less appreciation for traditional values. Family history doesn't seem to matter much. Mike chuckled, but not unkindly. My grandson asked me last week why I keep my father's watch when I could just use my phone. Maybe we're the ones out of step, old friend. Maybe. But even as I said it, something in me rebelled. Some things transcended generational preferences. Respect, gratitude. the understanding that love often came wrapped in unexpected packages. The third day brought clarity. I sat in my study. Eleanor's final letter spread before me like a map to navigate grief. Her handwriting remained as familiar as my own, careful loops and decisive strokes that matched her personality perfectly. The memory surfaced unbidden. Eleanor in her hospital bed, weak but determined, her fingers gripping mine with surprising strength. "Solon, promise me something." Her voice had been whisper-thin but urgent. "The necklace. Give it to Lucy on her 21st birthday, but only if she's worthy of our family legacy." "Of course, sweetheart. Whatever you want." "No." Her grip tightened. "Listen to me. If she's become too modern, too focused on material things without understanding their true value, wait. Wait until she learns that some treasures can't be bought, only earned through generations of love and sacrifice." I'd promised without fully understanding then. Grief had clouded my judgment, made Eleanor's words seem like the ramblings of a dying woman, but she'd been lucid, prophetic even. Now I understood. This wasn't about punishing Lucy. It was about protecting something precious until she could truly appreciate its weight. The phone rang, startling me from memory. Dennis's name appeared on the caller ID. "Dad, I wanted to check on you after last night. Lucy was, well, she was pretty harsh." "She's young," I said automatically, though the words felt hollow. "That's not an excuse for rudeness. Sarah and I talked about it. We think maybe we've been too lenient with her spending habits, her attitude." I considered sharing Eleanor's letter, explaining the necklace's true value. But something held me back. This decision was mine to make, mine and Eleanor's. "Time has a way of teaching lessons we can't," I said instead. After hanging up, I returned to my study and pulled out the insurance file. $120,000, more than many people earned in 2 years. Lucy had dismissed a fortune as flea market junk without a second glance. But money wasn't the real treasure. Respect was. Understanding was. The recognition that some gifts carried the weight of generations. Evening shadows stretched across my desk as I made my final decision. The necklace would remain in the safe, protected and patient. When Lucy matured enough to ask about family history, to show genuine interest in the women who'd worn it before her, then we'd talk. Until then, I'd honor Eleanor's wisdom and my own promise. Some legacies were too precious to squander on unready hearts. The study felt peaceful as I locked the insurance papers away. Somewhere in Boston, Lucy was probably laughing with friends, dismissing last night as just another awkward family moment. But life had a way of teaching lessons to those willing to learn. Eleanor's portrait watched from the living room wall, her expression serene and knowing. She'd understood human nature better than most. When to give, when to wait, when to trust that love would eventually find its way home. I could wait. We both could. Afternoon sunlight streamed through my study windows as I sorted through old lesson plans, seeking comfort in familiar routines. The phone's shrill ring cut through the quiet house like a blade. "Hello? Grandpa, it's Lucy." Her voice dripped honey, too sweet, too careful. "I've been thinking about the other night, and I feel absolutely terrible about how I acted." My grip tightened on the receiver. "Is that so?" "I was drunk, you know, college parties and all that. I didn't really look at your gift properly." A pause, calculating. "Mama called yesterday and told me, well, she explained about the necklace, about its history." The lie tasted bitter even through the phone line. "What exactly did your mother tell you?" "That it's been in our family for generations, that it's really valuable and special." Her voice wavered slightly, uncertainty creeping in. "I had no idea, Grandpa. I thought it was just some old costume jewelry." "You called your great-great-grandmother's wedding necklace cheap junk from a flea market." The words hung between us like ice. Silence stretched. When Lucy spoke again, the honey had curdled. "Look, I said I was sorry. I made a mistake. Can't you just forgive me and let me have the stupid thing?" "The stupid thing?" I repeated quietly. "I mean, the necklace. The family heirloom." Her voice sharpened with desperation. "Grandpa, I really need this right now. College is expensive, and I've got some financial issues to work out." There it was, the truth beneath the sugarcoating. "Lucy, you're not ready for that responsibility." "Ready?" Her mask finally slipped completely. I'm 21 years old. I'm an adult. And Mama told me that necklace is worth over $100,000. The number hit like a physical blow. Sarah had shared the exact insurance value. So now you care about it, I said, my voice steady despite the pain. Now that you know its monetary worth? Of course I care. Do you have any idea how much debt I'm carrying? How much I need that money? Lucy's voice cracked with fury. You're being selfish, you old fool. It's my inheritance. It should come to me. Each word was a knife twist. Your great-great-grandmother would be ashamed of you right now. Don't lecture me about dead people. I need real help, not sentimental garbage about family history. Lucy's breathing came in angry gasps. Give me what's mine, or I'll find another way to get it. The line went dead. I sat holding the silent receiver, its plastic warm against my ear. Outside, a cardinal landed on my windowsill, its red feathers brilliant against the glass. Life continued its normal patterns, while my family crumbled around me. The dial tone hummed its mechanical funeral dirge. Evening shadows stretched across my kitchen table as I stared at Dennis's number on my phone screen. 6 hours had passed since Lucy's call. 6 hours of pacing and worrying and trying to understand how my sweet granddaughter had become this desperate stranger. I dialed before I could change my mind. Dad, everything okay? Dennis sounded tired, probably just getting home from work. I need to talk to you about Lucy. The words felt heavy in my throat. I'm worried about her. Really worried. A pause. She's just going through a phase, Dad. College changes kids. Sarah and I went through the same thing with our independence. This isn't independence, Dennis. She called me today screaming about that necklace. Actually screaming. I rubbed my forehead, feeling every one of my 68 years. She knows exactly how much it's worth. Sarah told her. Dennis's voice grew quieter. After the birthday party, Lucy was asking questions. Sarah thought, she thought if Lucy understood the value, she'd appreciate the gesture more. And did she? Silence stretched between us. Finally, Dennis sighed. She called Sarah 3 times yesterday asking about getting the necklace appraised, asked if there was paperwork proving its value. My heart sank further. So she sees it as a commodity, not a family treasure. Dad, I have to be honest. Sarah and I have been noticing changes in Lucy for months now. Everything's about money and status. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, keeping up with her sorority friends. Dennis's voice carried the weight of paternal disappointment. We thought it was normal college behavior, but she asked me for $5,000 last month, said it was for textbooks and school supplies. When I suggested she get a part-time job instead, she had a complete meltdown. The puzzle pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. She's in debt. We think so, but she won't admit it, won't talk to us about it. Dennis's voice cracked slightly. Your mother would be heartbroken seeing Lucy like this. Eleanor knew this might happen. She told me to wait until Lucy was worthy of the family legacy. I touched the letter in my shirt pocket, Eleanor's wisdom more prescient than ever. I didn't understand then. I do now. What are we going to do, Dad? I don't know. The admission felt like defeat. But I won't reward this behavior. That necklace represents 4 generations of love and sacrifice. Lucy sees it as a quick cash solution. She's our family, Dad. We can't just give up on her. I'm not giving up. I'm protecting something precious until she learns to value it properly. I stared out my kitchen window at the darkening sky. Your mother trusted me to make this decision. I have to honor that trust. We sat in shared silence, 2 men who loved the same girl but couldn't reach her anymore. Keep an eye on her, Dennis. Something's not right in her world. I will, Dad, and thank you for calling. I needed to know we're not crazy for being worried. After hanging up, I remained at the kitchen table until full darkness fell. Somewhere in Boston, Lucy was probably planning her next move. Somewhere else, Dennis was probably holding Sarah's hand, both of them wondering where they'd gone wrong. The house felt too quiet, too empty. Tomorrow I decided I'd stick to simple routines, grocery shopping, normal life. Whatever storm was coming, I'd face it with dignity and tact. Morning brought a determination to maintain normal patterns, despite family chaos. I made my coffee stronger than usual, checked the weather forecast twice, and reviewed my shopping list with methodical precision. Routine would be my anchor. Before leaving, I double-checked the front door lock, then tested it again. The deadbolt clicked solidly into place. Security had become more important lately, though I couldn't quite explain why. The drive to Henderson's Market took exactly 17 minutes, same as always. Spring sunshine warmed my car windows, and for brief moments I almost forgot about Lucy's angry voice and Dennis's worried silence. "Morning, Mr. Brewer." Mary Castellano waved from behind the checkout counter, her gray curls bouncing. "Haven't seen you in almost a week. Have you been keeping?" "Fine, Mary. Just stocking up for the rest of April." I selected a shopping cart, its familiar squeak somehow comforting. The store's aisles held their usual comfort: predictable inventory, fair prices, neighbors nodding hello. I chose bread, milk, fresh vegetables, moving through my list with practiced efficiency. Normal tasks for a normal Thursday. "Your granddaughter still in college?" Mary asked as she rung up my groceries 40 minutes later. "Boston University. She's growing up." The careful words tasted like dust. They always do. "My Tommy's 23 now, thinks he knows everything." Mary bagged my items with practiced speed. "But they come around eventually. Family blood runs deep." I hoped she was right. The drive home felt shorter, perhaps because I dreaded returning to an empty house full of worried thoughts. My driveway looked exactly as I'd left it. Mailbox straight, lawn recently mowed, everything orderly and peaceful. Until I saw my front door. It stood slightly ajar, maybe 2 inches of darkness visible between the door and frame. My hands went cold on the steering wheel. I'd locked that door? Twice. I had always locked that door. Parking carefully, I sat in my car for several long moments, studying the house with new eyes. No broken windows, no obvious signs of damage. But that door, definitely, unmistakably unlocked and partially open. My phone felt heavy in my pocket. Should I call the police? Dennis? But what if I was mistaken? What if age was making me forgetful about security? No. I'd checked that lock twice this morning. Someone had been inside my house. I approached the front steps with careful, quiet footsteps. The door's opening was wider than I'd thought, easily 4 inches now, as if movement inside had pushed it further open. Listening at the threshold, I heard nothing. No voices, no footsteps, no obvious sounds of intrusion. But something felt wrong, the way air pressure changes before a storm. My hand reached for the doorknob, then hesitated. Whatever waited inside had already violated my home, my sanctuary. The question was whether they were still there. The brass knob felt cold under my palm as I prepared to push the door open and discover what awaited me in my own living room. The front door swung open with a whisper. My groceries hit the entryway floor as I stepped inside, heart hammering against my ribs. Everything looked wrong. The hall table sat askew, its drawer hanging open like a gaping mouth. Eleanor's umbrella stand had been moved 3 feet from its usual spot. Moving deeper into the house, I discovered chaos masquerading as careful search. Living room couch cushions lay scattered, revealing the wooden frame beneath. My coffee table drawer, the one containing insurance papers, gaped empty, documents strewn across the carpet like fallen snow. Someone had been methodical, professional almost. Eleanor's portrait, above the mantelpiece, hung crooked, and my blood turned to ice. The bedroom, the safe. I ran upstairs with more speed than my 68-year-old legs should have managed. Behind Eleanor's moved portrait, the wall safe stood open, its steel door hanging like a broken promise. Empty. Completely, devastatingly empty. The velvet jewelry box, gone. The insurance papers, scattered on the floor. 5 years of careful protection, destroyed in minutes. My phone trembled in my hands as I dialed 911. "Emergency services. I've been robbed." The words came out raw, broken. "Someone broke into my house. Stole family valuables." "Sir, are you safe? Is the intruder still present?" "I don't know. I just got home from—" A sound from downstairs cut through my panic. Kitchen cabinets closing. Footsteps on linoleum. "Sir, are you there?" "Someone's still here." I whispered into the phone, every nerve screaming danger. "They're in my kitchen." "Stay on the line. Units are responding." But I couldn't wait. That necklace represented Eleanor's final wish. 4 generations of family love. Whoever was downstairs had violated more than my home. They desecrated my wife's memory. Setting the phone on my dresser, I moved toward the stairs. Each step creaked a warning, but determination overrode caution. The kitchen sounds continued. A cabinet door, the squeak of hinges, someone moving with purpose. At the kitchen doorway, I paused. My hands gripped the frame for support, knuckles white with tension. Whatever waited beyond that threshold would change everything. The back door stood partially open, afternoon sunlight streaming through the gap. A figure crouched near the exit, stuffing items into a canvas bag. I stepped forward, preparing for confrontation with the stranger. Instead, the figure looked up, and my world shattered completely. Auburn hair caught the light, familiar green eyes wide with terror. The face I'd kissed goodnight for 13 years before college stole her away. "Lucy?" Lucy froze like a deer in headlights, one foot already outside my back door. The canvas bag clutched to her chest revealed the corner of a familiar velvet box. "What are you doing here?" My voice came out as a whisper, brain struggling to process the impossible scene before me. She couldn't look at me, couldn't speak, just stood there trembling, caught between escape and explanation. "You robbed me?" The words felt foreign in my mouth. "Your own grandfather?" "Grandpa, I—" Her voice cracked like thin ice. The velvet box corner poked from her bag. Eleanor's jewelry box, the one that had sat in our safe for 5 years, waiting for a worthy recipient. My legs nearly gave out. "You stole your grandmother's necklace?" Lucy's shoulders shook. "I needed the money. I didn't want to. I never wanted to hurt you." "Hurt me?" I moved closer, anger building beneath the shock. "You violated our home. Eleanor's memory. Everything we taught you about family." "I was going to return it." The words tumbled out desperately. "After I sold it, paid off my debts, I was going to tell you I lost it somehow." The magnitude of her deception hit like a physical blow. "You planned to lie to my face about losing your grandmother's most precious possession?" Tears streamed down her cheeks now. "I couldn't think of any other way." "Any other way to do what, exactly?" Lucy sagged against the doorframe, bag sliding down her chest. "I owe money. Lots of money. Credit cards, online shopping. I can't make the payments anymore." My kitchen table seemed miles away, but somehow we both ended up sitting across from each other. Criminal and victim, granddaughter and grandfather, two people whose relationship had just been blown apart. "How much money?" I asked quietly. $5,000. The number hung between us like a death sentence, spread across 3 different cards. "Minimum payments are due and I don't have—" "So you decided to steal from family?" "I was desperate." Lucy slammed her palm on the table, making Eleanor's salt and pepper shakers jump. "Everyone at school has money. Real money. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, spring break trips to Europe. I just wanted to fit in by stealing a priceless family heirloom. I researched it online. $120,000, right? I was only going to sell it for enough to cover my debts, maybe 20,000. The rest? I figured you'd never know the difference." The casual way she discussed dismantling our family legacy made my stomach turn. This wasn't my granddaughter speaking. This was a stranger wearing Lucy's face. "And after you lost it?" "I'd finish college, get a good job, maybe buy you something nice to replace it." Lucy wiped her nose with her sleeve, looking suddenly very young. "I thought I could fix everything before anyone got hurt." "Before anyone got hurt." I repeated her words slowly. "Lucy, you just destroyed our entire relationship." The truth of that statement hit both of us simultaneously. Lucy's face crumpled, and I felt something precious die inside my chest. Lucy reached into her bag with shaking hands and placed the velvet box on my kitchen table. "I'm sorry, Grandpa. I'm so sorry." I opened the box carefully, checking Eleanor's necklace for damage. The rubies caught afternoon light streaming through my window, still beautiful, still perfect, but somehow diminished by what it had just endured. "Tell me everything." My voice sounded older than my years. "Start from the beginning." Lucy took a shuddering breath. "It started freshman year. My roommate's parents bought her a car, a BMW, for her birthday, just because." Her hands twisted in her lap. "Everyone in my dorm has trust funds, unlimited credit cards, parents who wire money for weekend shopping trips. And you felt left out." I felt poor, ashamed. Lucy's voice dropped to barely audible. I got my first credit card sophomore year. Just for emergencies, I told myself. But then my sorority sisters invited me to spring break in Cancun. How much for the trip? $2,000. Flights, hotel, spending money. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I told myself I'd pay it back with summer job money, but then fall semester started and everyone had new clothes, new everything. I remained silent, letting her continue. The debt kept growing. Designer jeans so I wouldn't look like a scholarship kid. Dinners at expensive restaurants because that's where my friends went. $1,000 purse because everyone commented on my cheap Target bag. Lucy's voice grew smaller with each confession. Before I knew it, I owed $5,000 across 3 carts. Why didn't you come to us? Your parents, me. We would have helped. Dad and Mom are already stretching to pay my tuition. Dad mentioned maybe taking a second mortgage to cover my junior year expenses. Lucy wiped her eyes. How could I tell them I'd wasted $5,000 on clothes and parties, while they're sacrificing everything for my education? The picture became clearer, more heartbreaking. So you decided to steal instead. I saw the insurance papers when I was little. You showed me the safe once, remember? When I asked about Grandma's jewelry. Lucy's confession tumbled out like a broken dam. After Mom told me the necklace was worth over $100,000, I researched auction houses online. I thought I could sell it, pay off the cards, and no one would ever know. And you thought I wouldn't notice my wife's most precious possession was missing? I was going to stage a burglary, make it look like random theft. Lucy's voice grew even quieter. I had it all planned out. I'd come visit next week. We'd discover the break-in together. You'd file an insurance claim. The coldness of her planning shocked me more than the theft itself. You were going to let me believe strangers had violated our home. I know how it sounds, but I was drowning, Grandpa. Collection calls started last week. They're threatening to contact my parents. The school financial aid office. Lucy buried her face in her hands. I graduate in a year. I just needed to make it through without ruining everyone's life. Instead, you've ruined ours. The kitchen fell silent except for the refrigerator's gentle hum. Outside, a dog barked somewhere down the street, normal life continuing while ours fell apart. The worst part, I said finally, is that you were right about one thing. We would have helped. Your parents, me, we would have found a way. I know that now. Lucy's voice came out muffled. But I was so ashamed, so scared of disappointing everyone. So you chose betrayal instead of trust. I chose wrong. I chose everything wrong. She looked up at me with Eleanor's eyes, and my heart broke a little more. I don't know how to fix this. Neither did I. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder with each passing second. Lucy's eyes went wide with terror. They're coming for me, she whispered, voice barely audible above the approaching sound. I looked at my granddaughter, truly looked at her, and saw not a criminal, but a frightened young woman who'd made terrible choices. In that moment, everything Eleanor had taught me about family came flooding back. Quick! I stood abruptly, decision crystallizing. Go to the basement. Behind the furnace, there's a storage room. Hide there and don't come out until I tell you. Grandpa, what if they... Trust me. I guided her toward the basement stairs, my hand firm on her shoulder. Stay quiet no matter what you hear. Lucy disappeared into the darkness below, just as red and blue lights flashed through my front windows. 2 patrol cars pulled into my driveway, officers emerging with practiced efficiency. I took a deep breath, straightened my shoulders, and opened the front door before they could knock. Mr. Brewer? The first officer, a middle-aged Hispanic man with kind eyes, stepped forward. I'm Officer Ramirez. You called about a break-in? Yes, and I'm terribly sorry. I forced my voice to sound embarrassed, confused. I made a mistake. A very costly mistake. Officer Hayes, younger and more skeptical, studied my face carefully. What kind of mistake, sir? I forgot to lock my doors this morning. When I came home from grocery shopping, the wind had blown them open. I panicked, thought someone had broken in. I gestured helplessly. Old man's nerves, I'm afraid. Did you check the entire house? Ramirez asked. I did. Nothing's missing, nothing's disturbed. Just an old fool who forgot his own carelessness. I met his eyes steadily, praying my voice wouldn't betray the lie. Hayes consulted his paperwork. Sir, false emergency calls carry a $500 fine. Are you aware of that? The number hit like a physical blow, but I nodded. I understand completely. It's my fault, and I'll pay whatever's required. We'll need you to sign here acknowledging the false report. Hayes handed me a clipboard. My signature felt strange, shaky. $500, nearly a month of grocery money, but worth every penny to protect Lucy from the consequences of her desperation. Will that be cash or check? Ramirez asked, his tone softening slightly. Check, please. I wrote it carefully, my teacher's penmanship steady despite my racing heart. After they left, I stood at my front door until their taillights disappeared. Only then did I call down to the basement. Lucy, you can come up now. She emerged slowly, tears streaming down her face. Grandpa, you lied to the police. For me? I protected my family. The words came out firmer than I felt. There's a difference. But $500? Money I can spare. Your future I cannot. I guided her back to the kitchen table, where Eleanor's necklace still lay in its velvet box. Now we need to talk about what happens next. Lucy sat heavily, the weight of my sacrifice visible in every line of her body. We sat in my living room, surrounded by the debris of broken trust. Lucy perched on the edge of Eleanor's favorite chair, while I retrieved family documents from the desk drawer. Before we discuss your future, you need to understand what you almost sold. I opened a leather portfolio containing insurance papers, photographs, and Eleanor's handwritten family history. This necklace was crafted in 1923 for your great-great-grandmother's wedding. Lucy leaned forward as I spread black and white photographs across the coffee table. She wore it during the Depression when families were losing everything. Instead of selling it, she hid it in the cellar wall. Why didn't she sell it for food money? Because some things matter more than survival. I pointed to a faded wedding photo. Your great-grandmother wore it to her own wedding in 1942, right before her husband shipped overseas. He didn't come home. Lucy's fingers traced the photo's edges. I never knew any of this. And here's your grandmother, my Eleanor, wearing it at our wedding. The color photograph showed Eleanor radiant in white silk, the rubies catching church light. She earned the right to wear it through character, through sacrifice, through putting others before herself. How did she earn it? She spent 3 years caring for her dying mother while working 2 jobs and raising your father as a baby. I closed the album gently. She never complained, never asked for help, never considered her own needs. Lucy stared at the insurance appraisal. $120,000. That's just money. Its real value can't be measured. I leaned back in my chair, studying my granddaughter's face. Eleanor made me promise to give it to you only when you understood what family loyalty really means. And I failed that test completely. Not failed, not yet. I pulled out a legal pad and pen. But there are conditions for your future. Real conditions. Lucy nodded eagerly. Anything. First, we tell your parents everything, tonight. No more lies, no more secrets. They'll be devastated. They'll be disappointed, but they'll also help because that's what families do. I wrote as I spoke. Second, I'll pay your $5,000 in debts, but you'll work it off through community service. 50 hours for every 1,000. 250 hours? Character isn't built through easy paths, I continued writing. Third, you'll see a financial counselor at college and attend budgeting workshops. Fourth, you'll call me every Sunday evening for check-ins. Lucy watched me write, tears threatening again. What about the necklace? When you graduate debt-free, when you've demonstrated a year of responsible financial choices, when you can tell me what family loyalty means without reading from a textbook, then we'll discuss it. That could take years. Good things usually do. I finished writing and handed her the paper. Sign this. It's our contract. She read carefully, then signed with a trembling hand. Grandpa, why are you giving me another chance after what I did? Because your grandmother believed in second chances. Because you're 21 and still learning. Because I love you enough to set boundaries. I folded the paper carefully. And because true family doesn't abandon each other in crisis. Lucy burst into tears then. Real tears, not manipulation. I moved to her chair and held her like I had when she was 7 years old and had nightmares. We'll call your parents in an hour, I said softly. Together. And then we'll start rebuilding what was broken. For the first time in days, hope felt possible. After our phone call with Dennis and Sarah, tearful, difficult, but ultimately healing, Lucy and I began restoring order to my violated home. She worked with desperate energy, as if physical effort could repair emotional damage. "Hand me those insurance papers," I said, reorganizing the coffee table drawer she'd ransacked hours earlier. Lucy gathered scattered documents carefully. "Grandpa, at college everyone has so much money. I felt like the poor relative at every social event." "True wealth isn't money, dear." I accepted the papers from her hands. "It's the people who love you unconditionally." We moved to the bedroom, where my open safe gaped like a wound. Lucy watched as I returned Eleanor's necklace to its place of honor. "Would Grandma be disappointed in me?" she asked quietly. "She'd be proud that you found courage to confess and change." I closed the safe with finality. Eleanor believed people could grow from their mistakes. In the kitchen, we prepared a simple dinner together: grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup, comfort food from Lucy's childhood. She moved around my kitchen with remembered familiarity, retrieving plates from cabinets she'd known since age 5. "I miss this," she said, ladling soup into bowls. "Coming here after school, doing homework at your table while you graded papers. You're always welcome here. But next time, use the front door." The gentle joke earned me a watery smile. We ate slowly, talking about college courses, her major, future plans that didn't involve theft. As evening shadows lengthened, Lucy helped me load the dishwasher. "I should go back to campus," she said reluctantly. "Face reality." "Reality's not going anywhere, but facing it with family support makes all the difference." I hugged her tightly, our first genuine embrace since her birthday. "Remember our agreement: Sunday phone calls, financial counseling, complete honesty." "I remember everything." Lucy stepped back, shouldering her bag. "Thank you for saving me today. From the police, from myself." That's what grandfathers do. 2 weeks later, my phone rang on a Sunday evening. "Hi, Grandpa. It's Lucy." "Right on time. How was your week?" "Better. I started seeing a counselor at the student health center, and I told Mom and Dad about the exact amounts I owed." Her voice sounded stronger, more mature. "Dad said you taught me well about taking responsibility." "How did they react to the debt details?" "They were upset but grateful I was finally honest. Mom cried, but she said she was proud of me for getting help." Lucy paused. "Grandpa, I've been thinking about what you said, about earning the right to wear Grandma's necklace. And I think I understand now. It's not about the money or even the jewelry. It's about being the kind of person who honors what came before." Through my living room window, I could see Eleanor's portrait in the lamplight, her smile somehow approving. "When you truly understand that, Lucy, we'll talk about your future inheritance. Until then, keep learning, keep growing." "I will. I love you, Grandpa." "I love you too, sweetheart, more than any necklace could ever be worth." After hanging up, I sat in my quiet house, feeling genuinely hopeful for the first time in weeks. Family bonds, once broken, could be rewired stronger than before, if both people were willing to do the difficult work of rebuilding trust. Eleanor would have been proud. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.